Well, guys, it is 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And in Don's absence, I will take us through the agenda. Bear with me if I deviate or screw up. Just call me back and get me back in line. Meeting agenda, we need to get a motion to accept the meeting agenda.
So moved. Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? No opposed. So the agenda stands. The previous meeting meeting minutes are not complete yet. We'll have those circulated sometime after this meeting. It was an executive session, so there was some technical issues around getting that drawn up. So we'll get that circulated for approval at a later date. Next on the agenda is the public input. Anybody from the public wish to make any comments or anything? I don't think we have any public comments at the moment. Committee and authority members. Commissioner Jones, I understand you need to leave relatively quickly on this thing. We can go out of order on this if you like, if you have some things you want to touch base on.
No need, I'll just wait for the commissioners.
Okay.
Be fine.
All right. So on the committee and authority members' reports, anything to report, gentlemen? David? The one thing I will report is we do have a new member with us today, Wendell Turner. Joined the airport authority recently, and we're pleased to have him on board. He is a pilot. He's active at the airport, very involved in the community over there, and we think he'll be a great asset to the crew. Wendell, thanks for joining.
Absolutely, looking forward to helping.
Thank you. Treasurer's report, I have distributed the numbers for April. You have those numbers. The May numbers have not yet been compiled. We talked to Faye on Friday last week and knew it wouldn't be done for today's meeting, but hopefully by the end of the week we'll circulate those via email. I'll give you guys a minute to run through those numbers. If you have any questions, I'll happily field those along with Randy's help.
Do you have an extra copy of those?
I do. Oh,
Agenda or the?
No,
that's the financial.
Financials.
okay.
Here, you can have both if you need to.
No, I got the, thank you.
So if no comments, we'll move along in the agenda. Airport manager's report.
January, February, we were on track to set a record for this year. Fuel sales were over the 5,000, 6,000 gallon range. Then March and April hit, and we were down about half of our regular sales. Military is still flowing, so we picked back up. May and June has already started off with a rush. We've got one more helicopter coming in tomorrow. That's going to put us over 1,000 gallons for the military. It's about 7 Blackhawks so far this month, and we pumped already almost 2,000 gallons of 100 low lead. Jet A's on order, should be here either Tuesday or Wednesday. Prices are staying relatively stable, but we have noticed a definite increase in transit traffic.
So stable on Jet A, but
Yes.
100 low lead seems to be jumping up quite a bit, doesn't it?
Yes, they're increasing the price because people are starting to fly and it's going to flow, so they want to make the profit. That's all I have. Everything else looks good. Thank you for starting that grass cutting on the bank and the end of 16 and the west taxiway.
So that today looks very nice.
Yeah.
He got started, they'll be doing some more work out there.
He's out working again today. I was buying at 6 something.
Okay, that takes us through the airport manager's report, airport engineer's report. Bill?
We have one thing that needs approved tonight. The federal government, just like they did some CARES Act for different businesses, they created CARES Act for airports. FAA broke all the airports into 5 categories: 0 to 9 based aircraft, 10 to 14 based aircraft, 15 to 99 based aircraft, over 100, and then the 5th one is commercial. We fall in the 15 to 99 based aircraft. There's a set dollar amount associated with each one. So we have a $30,000 grant under the CARES Act. It's offered up to you. You will need to make a motion to accept that grant tonight. It's $30,000. It has no match on it. can be used as a replacement for fuel costs, salaries, anything like that. We worked and sent that application a couple of months ago when the program came out with Randy. You're using it as a fuel replacement. Once that comes back to you as a replacement for that item, it can be used for some other things on the airport that we want to do. The action item tonight is, we just need a motion and approval to accept the CARES Act grant for $30,000.
So moved. That's easy.
Second.
Any opposed? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Pass. Thank you.
Probably be, maybe it could be another 6 weeks or something before we actually get it, but.
So question for you on that. We're driving to get the airport to 100-plus based aircraft, which in theory will get us into the top 10 in the state as well.
Correct.
What would that CARES Act reimbursement or grant have been should we reach that
Would have
number?
been $69,000.
So more than double.
Yeah. So it was $1,000 for the 0 to 9 based aircraft. You have to have 10 based aircraft to be eligible for FAA money. So the CARES grant even gave those airports that weren't eligible for FAA money $1,000. The 10 to 14 was $20,000, 15 and 99, $30,000. 100 and up, general aviation airport, $69,000. Then the commercial airport category was unique to each airport, what they got. So to your point, Ed, is since we met last, because it's been a while, we did the talks with Rotary and the presentation of the Chamber Breakfast. So your based aircraft count, you're at 82 right now. This is by tail numbers, so there's not an exaggeration. You're at 82. When we look at the potential of new hangars, those 3 new T hangars, that grouping, 10 jumbos, 16 regulars in there, that pushes you, if you keep the 82, that would push you to 108. Talk to Ed, we work with this a lot. In Georgia, 103 airports, at about 100, you're in the top 10. And there's churning with those numbers, but essentially you do those 3, you now have moved to the top 10. And we track that from back in when you were in the 60s out of 100, the 50s, the 40s, to push into the 20s now to be 14th that we are right now. And so that's a pretty amazing, it's just a lot of positive energy and positive things going on there.
There's some other priorities from a funding perspective that come, not just the one-time, one-off
Correct.
On the COVID side, but some other things that happen in the funding, as I understand it, once you reach that 100-plus.
That's correct.
based
So
aircraft.
it's additional leverage. There's a metric that goes along with the applications that are sent in, but that they have a title for those categories. So at 100, you become an airport of regional impact, and you're not treated treated that way. And there's some dynamics even like Cherokee County's in there. So you start to put airports close to each other. That becomes almost like a mini aviation system. So you're putting money in there. We're fortunate because Cherokee's on a ridge. So what we can build here is not the same thing that can be built there. And so that means the allocation of those funds it's not the same thing that you might get south of Atlanta with the Union and Peachtree City or something like that.
Right.
So we continue to position. Also, I'll point out that when you add those 26 hangars and you're at 108, you're at 108 with property available to lease and more hangar space available. That is not something you see typically at those airports that get over 100. It's starting to get really tight on space. So you're doing the lifting not only to drive that growth and what it takes from a just customer service perspective, but we're staying ahead and creating space. And we're already working, we're already working on the next space available after this one.
Right.
You keep doing that, you got really, you're not surging and then have to spend a decade to create space for yourself. So you're doing all the things correctly. It's a lot of positive.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question about the
Yes.
CARES grant, is this an annual, just something that comes out? This
One off out of
This
the,
is-
right, out of the
One because of the
COVID.
COVID-19 crisis.
Okay.
The same legislation that the PPP stuff came out.
Yeah, it is.
Payroll.
And so you had no lead time on it, no nothing, and frankly, I'll say this, if you elected not to get it, I don't know that, you wouldn't kind of get it anyway. So it's just technically, just to put it in the paper, so sign the paperwork with it. So it's a positive, we can use that to do something, off of the list on it to move everything ahead.
That's great.
Very good.
Very good. And that's what we have action-wise for tonight.
Nothing else? Okay. Commissioners' remarks?
Everything seems to be going good. We've had, as of last month, month before last, we had an increase on sales tax revenues of $59,000, nearly $60,000. We were really surprised on that one.
Wow.
And then this last month, we got the numbers in, we're over 25,000, we had another increase.
Wow.
So, between Walmart and Home Depot and the gas stations and all the grocery stores, and everybody's eating at home, it's, sales tax revenues have escalated.
Yeah.
Building permits, we had 53 building permits for last month, just in Pickens County, and then we've also averaging about 1, sometimes even 2 water meters a week. And that has really been escalated with all the building and all that's coming on in Pickens County. So things are finally starting to pick up.
The economy's looking pretty good from your perspective.
From our perspective, it's looking good. And we, believe it or not, even though the numbers are double digits for unemployment, we are probably one of the lowest unemployment rates in Northwest Georgia. We were bouncing about 10.7%. And then, of course, this hit, we jumped us up to about 10 to 11, and that has creeped back down a little bit.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Old business. I'm going to classify this as old business. We have an amendment to our charter here that allows the airport authority to manage the airport employees. And this was originally within our charter. Somewhere along the way, we think it got lost. And to cross T's and dot I's, we have a draft here from our county attorney, already signed by the commissioner, as I understand it, that transfers that responsibility to the airport authority. Give you guys a moment to review, and if you're in agreement, hopefully we'll have a motion to approve. Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None opposed. Passes. Thank you, gentlemen. So any other old business that we have that we need to cover? Anything, guys? Nothing that I can think of at the moment. Any new business? Nothing? Unless there's any opposition. David, you guys came in late. We've already passed the public input. If you want to address the group, we'll go back to that public input. If you just want to sit on the meeting, we welcome you being here.
Thank you. I don't know that we have anything prepared at this time. We're glad to be here, and we're certainly interested in taking part, but nothing really to address at this time.
Okay? We've been talking with David about the potential of the hangar, so Phil's talking with him as well.
And I'll say that the update to this spot, the area that's available, that sketch overall, so everybody has that available, has been updated. David got it late Friday after our conversation, but this now shows, shows what you have available for this spoken for, which is mostly the airport authorities, areas that you're reserving for.
Yeah, that northeast corner is reserved for T-hangars as we go forward. Then the southeast corner is reserved for FBO building and potential county-owned box hangar there as well.
Correct. And then you'll, as any of that's defined, the area can be adjusted. The 3T is pretty much, that's it. It takes that spot.
Yeah.
So, but that lets everyone like David know, updated version, that's what we got.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. With that, I think that brings us to an end. If I hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.